My name is Captain Ibrahim Traoré, President of Burkina Faso, and today I speak not only for the 22 million souls in my nation, but for a continent whose stories have been twisted, whose pain has been ignored, and whose dignity has been repeatedly auctioned off at the altar of foreign interests. Africa is not Tobago. Africa is not a battlefield.
It began with a phone call, calm, calculated, and deeply deceptive. On a warm May morning, President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso received an invitation from Donald Trump himself, a live televised debate on tariff. Broadcast across America, it was framed as diplomacy, but quickly revealed itself as a setup. Trump wanted a spectacle. What he got was a reckoning. Trump, smug and confident, believed he'd corner a young African leader on camera. What he didn't anticipate was that Traoré wasn't just a politician. He was a man armed with truth. From the halls of the presidential palace in Ouagadougou to the West Wing of the White House, two teams prepared for a confrontation that would redefine global power. Trump's advisors, Mark Dalton and Victoria Langston, strategized not for fairness, but for economic submission. Langston's classified memo was cold, calculated, leveraged tariffs to force African nations back into dependence. Across the Atlantic, Traoré's briefing room buzzed with urgency. Cotton exports had dropped 67%. Over 340,000 rural jobs were at risk, but this wasn't panic. It was preparation. "We will not walk into a slaughterhouse without the sword of truth," Traoré told his ministers. "This is not just about trade, it's about survival." Fatima, his economy minister, and Dr. Lionel Massey, his policy advisor, laid out the full damage. The tariffs weren't random. They were surgical strikes on African progress. The stage was set. On Fox News, Tucker Carlson introduced the showdown: President Donald Trump versus President Ibrahim Traoré. Trump went first, boasting, "These tariffs are genius." He grinned, called it America first. But Traoré, calm and firm, responded, "Are we protecting justice or preserving dominance?" Trump interrupted, condescendingly calling him "my young friend." But Traoré didn't flinch. "This isn't about feelings, it's about fairness," he said. "Sustainable partnerships benefit both sides. This is not trade, this is exploitation." Trump's tone darkened. "We built your hospitals, we gave you exposure." Traoré's voice never rose. "Gratitude is not obedience. Respect is not control." Then Trump, visibly irate, spat it out. "You Africans are all the same." The world froze, and Traoré, without blinking, replied, "Thank you, Mr. President. You've just shown the world why Africa is walking away. Not from trade, from humiliation." The world erupted. In stunned silence, viewers sat frozen as Traoré continued. He opened a folder and revealed the Langston Memo, a classified White House document calling for Africa's economic subjugation. It wasn't leaked by activists or journalists. Traoré revealed it himself. "This is not protection, this is siege," he said. And with that, America's narrative collapsed. He outlined how, months earlier, Africa had prepared a contingency plan. Within 72 hours of detecting the U.S. shift, 34 nations had signed alternative trade deals with China, Russia, the EU, India, and Brazil. Charts appeared on screen: growth rates, infrastructure, contracts. "This is not theory," he said. "It is happening." Trump, shaken, tried to dismiss it all as fake. "It's a hoax," he mumbled, but Traoré held up the signature. "Signed by your own strategist, Victoria Langston. Empowered by your vision." Trump fell silent. The man who had built his power on slogans and dominance had been undone, not by noise, but by proof. He reached forward and cut the feed. Traoré remained seated, composed. "We did not come tonight to be rescued," he said. "We are not victims. We are sovereign nations asking for one thing: respect." And as the camera stayed on him, he closed his folder, adjusted his suit, and declared, "True allies don't issue ultimatums. If America wants to walk with us, it must do so on level ground." 6 months later, Burkina Faso's economy posted record growth. New factories, trade corridors, jobs, not from aid, but from partnership. Ibrahim Traoré became a global figure, invited to speak at the UN. "When Africa was pushed to the edge, Mas," he said, "we didn't fall, we learned to fly." He reminded the world that dignity is not a luxury, it is a right. Back in the U.S., Trump's approval ratings tanked. Victoria Langston resigned in disgrace. News anchors couldn't spin it. The debate had not just revealed a rift, it had exposed the architecture of economic control dressed as cooperation. And as global powers restructured their alliances, one truth remained: a quiet voice from West Africa had redrawn the map. 1 year later, Traoré returned to Washington under a new administration. He wasn't there to argue. He was there to connect. "What Trump gave us," he said in his final U.S. interview, was a painful gift, the reminder that respect is claimed through